Harrison Ford doesn't seem to like the media very much, and many fans think he deals with social anxiety. But when asked by The Hollywood Reporter if there is any truth to that rumor, Harrison flat out denied it. He said it's not anxiety, he just has, and I quote, an aberrance of boring situations. What do you make of his comments?
I find his comments very refreshing. I feel like Harrison Ford is like a no-nonsense kind of guy. Like, he does not suffer fools, and he hates talking about, like, the craft or the method of acting. I think for him, acting is a job, and acting doesn't make you like a god. And so it follows that he was sort of like, hold on, enough with this armchair diagnosis sort of thing, which I think we're in a day and age where sort of armchair diagnosing is reached its peak, like my ADHD, my PTSD, my OCD, and it takes away from people who are casually using those terms. It takes away from the people who really have them and suffer from them. And I like that he sort of called it out. Like, no, I just don't like being in boring situations.
Well, he's also 80 years old. So what does he have to prove? I think is part of it, but also he's probably just comfortable in his own skin. He doesn't need to put on a full fanfare. And you think like he's probably got a lot of confidence too. Think how much confident you are in your 30s versus your 20s, your 40s versus your 30s. And now at 80 years old, so let's say 40 years down the road, I'm gonna be beyond confident and don't have anything to prove to anybody. But also, if he's talking about these boring situations, I think it's on the interviewer too to kind of dig a little deeper or maybe do a little more research with some nuggets or whatnot.
I mean, it's hard when you're in those situations like with junkets or you're like sitting there and you've got 4 minutes from the moment your butt hits the seat to get the best juice you can. It is hard, and I have definitely encountered like curmudgeonly older, like there are some legendary ones. Tommy Lee Jones is apparently like constantly, I didn't interview him, but he is a nightmare. Harrison Ford, for the record, I did hear, and I wish Lainey was here, but she once was traveling and she broke her arm, and I believe she was overseas, and she had to do an interview with Harrison Ford, and he apparently was lovely to her. Like absolutely lovely. So I don't think his aberrance of boring situations has translated into 100% being a curmudgeon. I don't think so.
Yeah, well, I feel like I'm Harrison Ford and Harrison Ford is me, because I say this because as I get older, I'm finding it harder and harder to be in a room full of people with empty conversations and stay in that room. And not just kind of go to the back and just go, and especially if you see that person, you know, there's always that person at the party, you're like, oh, here she comes, here she comes. So I get what he's saying, but I'm also thinking this is a time for us to step back and step into his shoes and think about, as a celebrity, he's been acting since the 60s, right? He was in Star Wars in the 70s. This is a person who's been famous for a long time. And a lot of times people who come up to him are doing what? Oh my God, I love you. Oh my God, you're my favorite actor. Oh my God, that line you say in the movie. That's how he's being approached all the time. So can you imagine every room you go into, you're never getting a chance to go, you see Tom in his underwear? You don't ever have a chance to do that. You're always fulfilling someone's dream of meeting you, so you don't get that chance to have that conversation. So that would be pretty boring for that person who wants to stay. And you know you're gonna meet those people who are just fans, but the ones who are like, you're tall, I thought you'd be taller.
Yeah, exactly.
You're kind of heavier than I thought you'd be. That would put an old man mean face on me too. So I get it.
I don't disagree, but here's the thing that always gets to me is we have such a high tolerance for any old white man in his crustiness. Because Helen Mirren is not allowed to behave like this. We have decided that Judi Dench cannot walk into a room and just be like, ugh. Because everybody would be saying, Judi Dench is a, you know what? So I get it. I love that as we age, you're right, we should be. And I think we've met a lot of women on the show who are like, I love the freedom of just not caring as much. But society still wants us to have a nice face about it. And I just think that we tolerate still, I'm not saying this is him, but I say generally, I think we still tolerate a lot of curmudgeonly old bad behavior from dudes like maybe like him. And I think that women are not allowed to actually be that way.
That's a good point.
No matter if you're 80 or 95, you know, otherwise you're still scared that someone's gonna write, oh, that Melissa, she's a B. Meanwhile, I'm also tired too.
And you're over the vacuous conversations.
I'm over it,
and they also don't know that 2 seconds ago, someone's like, I thought you'd be taller. And you're like, okay, here we go. And you're ready to leave that party.
But we love Indiana Jones, don't get me
We do love him.
There's new one coming out. You guys see the trailer?
It's gonna be great.
Hey there, wasn't that great? Do you know where you can find some equally good content? Our YouTube page. It's filled with discussions, debates, and some laughs. Head there now, like and subscribe.